We live in a society that's absolutely obsessed with being in love and falling in love. We have songs and books and movies and shows about it. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy a love story as much as the next guy. The Princess Bride and The Lion King are firmly in my top 10 movies of all time, and I'll fight you if you disagree. And the thing that those things tell us is that every single one of us should be waiting for our Notebook moment. Like, I want you, all of you, only you, you and me, forever, and this message that gets delivered to our culture. Sometimes overtly, just really clear and explicitly, and a lot of times more subtly and implicitly, is that finding a love relationship, like finding somebody that we can fall in love with and be in love with and share the rest of our lives with, is the single most important thing we can do in this life. That's our greatest purpose, and so we should chase it with everything we got, and we should never put any restrictions on it, because that's our identity, and that's our meaning, and that is the greatest good and the greatest goal in the world. And it breaks my heart sometimes because I look around at a church in the United States of America that has fallen for that line and that lie, hook, line, and sinker. It's just kind of bought into it and allowed some fuzzy math to take place where we decided, well, if God is love, then that must mean love is God. And I think the transitive property works with numbers in a way that it doesn't work with theology, but we've elevated love to this position of being on the pedestal of our lives. And it leaves us in this awkward spot. Because as human beings, we have this natural tendency to believe that good gifts that we receive in our lives are because of our own goodness. And marriage is a good gift. But when we start to believe that, like, if God is love, love is God, then we start to think, well, if God actually loves me, and if God gives good gifts, and he's a good God, and if I love God enough, then he'll absolutely, definitely give me a soulmate. Right? That's just a natural conclusion. And because we subtly think that good gifts are received because of our goodness, when we're married, we look at single people and think, oh, they must be worse than me. I got this good gift because I'm good. They must not be good. When they get mature in their faith like me, then they'll find a soulmate. Which is just patently ridiculous. Have you seen some of the idiots and jerks that are married in the world? And have you seen some of the incredible people that are single? It's ridiculous. And I think it's harmful to single people too, because they start looking at all the married people around them, and they start funneling their life through that lens of, like, good gifts are because of goodness, and God would give me a soulmate if I loved him enough, and start wondering, like, what lesson do I need to learn? What do I have to do? How much more do I have to love Jesus before he'll give me this desire of my heart? I think we just exist in this dangerous cultural space where love has been made an idol, and we're all tempted towards it. We're all tempted to put somebody other than God on the pedestal of our lives. But the problem is, when we make the love of another person an idol, we miss out on the fullness of the love of God. That's what happens with any idol. We miss out on God's best and God's fullness in our lives. Every single one of us has a hole inside of us that wants to be fully known and fully loved, but there's only one who can fill that hole. There's only one who fully knows us and loves us unconditionally anyway. See, we're built to have God at the center. We're built to have God at the center of our lives and God at the center of every single one of our relationships. And when we realize that God is the ultimate goal, and not marriage and not love and not anything else, when God is the ultimate goal, what we end up with is better marriages. What we end up with is better singleness. What we end up with is a better church, as every single person who's a part of the church lives out their gifts in the season God has them in, believing that he's good and he's love and he's enough, that he's the one that fills that need. So I want to encourage you tonight. Your season may not be the one you want. Your season of singleness may be one you're looking to get out of, and you're excited to someday be done with. And your season of life may not be the one that you want. Like, it's not just about relationships, marriage, and singleness. Like, your job and your family and just the space that you're in may not be the space that you want to embrace tonight, and it may not feel like a gift. But I want to encourage you to embrace what God has for you right now, right here. Embrace the meaning and the purpose. Don't get so caught up hoping about where, or thinking about and dreaming about where you want to be, that you miss out on the divine spark of the moment that you're in. Don't let your longing for something else slay you're living for what's right in front of you. You have a chance right here and right now to make a difference for God where we are. So if you're single and you don't want to be, embrace your singleness. If life isn't exactly the way you want it to be, embrace the chance that you have right here, right now, to make a difference for God in this moment. And make sure to put him at the center of it all. We live in a world that's going to tell you that your meaning and your purpose and your identity is found in relationships and in love, or that it's found in a whole host of other things. But when those things become idols, we miss out on God's best. So I want to challenge all of us tonight to push the idols aside, whatever they may be. To push the lies of our culture aside that says we can find our meaning and our purpose and our hope anywhere other than God. And place God at the center of our lives, because he's the one, first and foremost, that can fill that desire in us to be fully known and fully loved. And he's the one that can give us our greatest sense of meaning and identity and purpose.